Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 1972. Now, this version of Godzilla comes from the 1972 film Godzilla vs. Gigan. This suit appeared in other movies such as the 1968 film Destroy All Monsters, the 1970 film Godzilla vs. Hedorah, and the 1969 film All Monsters Attack, which is actually a movie that I unironically really like, but that's a conversation for another day. But going back to Godzilla vs. Gigan, I like it. I think it's a fun movie. I like the characters. I like the story. I think Gigan himself is a really cool monster. The soundtrack is great, of course, being done by Akira Ifukube. The only thing I don't like about Godzilla vs. Gigan is that there is a lot of stock footage in this movie. Like, it's common for Godzilla movies, like, especially in the Showa era, to, like, reuse, like, footage from earlier movies, but in Godzilla vs. Gigan, like, there is a lot. Like, usually, when it's done, it's usually in, like, pretty small amounts, but, again, in Godzilla vs. Gigan, it's, like, a good chunk of the movie. Like, it's to a point where it's, like, actually really distracting, but besides that, Godzilla vs. Gigan, I think is a fun movie. Plus, Godzilla vs. Gigan was actually the first Showa-era Godzilla movie that I've ever seen. So, for that alone, I have a little bit of a personal connection with this movie. So, yeah, Godzilla vs. Gigan is a fun time, and I recommend that you check it out. So, yeah. I don't really know what else to say, so let's just get right into this. Like usual, to start this review, we'll take a look at the paint first, and the painting on this figure I think looks very good, so let's take a closer look at that. So right off the bat, as you can see, pretty much every part on this figure is casted in this charcoal black coloration, which I think looks really nice, and throughout the figure you can see very subtle like hints of green, like on the tail here, especially on the feet here, and I think that a little hint of green, I think that really makes the detailing here pop. I think it looks very good. The toenails here are painted a nice tannish coloration, but they slowly become more of a darker blackish coloration as they get closer to the base of the toe here. And same with the fingernails here. Again, they start off as a brighter shade of tan, and then they gradually become a darker coloration. And I think that looks good. The dorsal plates here are painted a nice metallic silver with a bit of that charcoal black towards the center of them, traditional Godzilla. And this metallic coloration continues all the way to here. Normally this is something that would bother me, but this is actually screen accurate, so I can't really complain. Lastly, the head. We can see that the eyes are white with black pupils. For the mouth here, we can see that the teeth are painted a nice, like, pinkish wedge coloration. And the inside of the mouth, I don't know if I can get, like, a good angle, but the inside of the mouth has a very nice, like, glossy, like, pinkish coloration. And I think it looks good. So that's pretty much it for the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure, honestly, I think is pretty much perfect. So, yeah, the painting on this figure, I'd say definitely gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the articulation, and the articulation on this figure, I think, is very solid, so let's take a closer look at that. So, right off the bat, the mouth can open and close like so. The mouth is on a ball joint, so you can, make some movements like that, but I think the mouth joint is a little too loose on this figure. I wish it was just a little tighter, but that's just me. We have a ball joint at the base of the head here. A very limited ball joint towards the center of the neck. And another less limited, but still pretty limited ball joint at the base of the neck here. The shoulders are on ball joints, so they can move outwards like so and move in various different directions. We have a bend in the elbows here. And the wrists are on ball joints. One thing that I find very interesting here is that this dorsal plate here is actually like, well, I just popped it off, but like, this dorsal plate actually moves, which, I mean, I kind of understand why because of this dorsal plate here, but like, they don't really make contact with each other, and even then, like they get close, but like not really. So I don't know, this I think is a little unnecessary, plus it kind of comes off a little too easy. But, you know, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. It's not as bad as the SH Monsterarts minus Goji figure, because the movable dorsal plates on that figure was, I'm not going to lie, it was actually pretty rough. But I digress. But anyway, we have a ball joint at the waist here. The thighs are on ball joints as well, so Godzilla can kick that far and move backwards that far. And he can do the splits, like so. There's a bend in the knees here. And the feet are on ball joints, or the ankles I should say, so they can pivot and move around and whatnot. Now, the tail here, the tail on this figure is actually, like, there are a lot of, like, segmented ball joints here, which feels great. But really quick, I just want to say, I have seen people do some, like, crazy things with the tail on this figure. I've seen people online, like, I've seen them, like, they're able to make Godzilla do, like, the drop kick thing with, like, no stand at all. I don't know how to do that. I can't do that, but I've seen pictures online. So if you can figure that out, then the fact that this figure is capable of doing that is actually really cool. So yeah, again, I don't know how to do that, but I've seen pictures online. So if you can figure it out, then good for you. But yeah, the tail has a lot of segmented ball joints, and they feel really good to move. And that's pretty much it for the articulation on this figure. Yeah, the articulation here is great. I love it. Definitely gets a pass. For the first time in a very long time, we finally have an SH Monsterarts Godzilla figure that actually comes with an accessory. That's not based on the legendary design or anything like that. We have, like, a Toho Godzilla figure, you know, in the SH Monsterarts line that comes with an accessory, and it's very minor. It's just an alternate headpiece, you know, a battle damage head, but still, like, the fact that this figure comes with any accessories at all is, like, really baffling. Because the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 2004 didn't come with any accessories, the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 2002, the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 1989, even the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 1954. None of those figures came with accessories, but this figure has an alternate headpiece. Again, very minor. They didn't need to include this, but they did, and I'm not gonna lie, the fact that they did is actually really cool. I still would have liked to have seen, like, an atomic breath piece with a stand. I think that would have been great. I think every SH Monsterarts Godzilla figure should include that at least, but the fact that we have, like, just an alternate headpiece, you know, this is okay. This is fine. I'm okay with this. So, yeah, I just want to point that out because, again, an SH Monsterarts Godzilla figure with an accessory, how often do we get that now? That isn't based on the legendary movies. Now, we'll take a look at the sculpt, and the sculpting on this figure, honestly, I think is pretty much perfect. I think everything here is pretty much one-to-one to what we see in Godzilla vs. Gigan. You know, nothing looks too big here. Nothing, like, the proportions look good. You know, the feet aren't too big or the hands are too small. None of that. Overall, the sculpting here, 100% is pretty much perfect. But if I did have one thing to say about the sculpt, and this is a stretch, I know, but if I had one thing to say about the sculpting here, I will say the way the mouth closes. You know, it doesn't look bad, but I wish it closed, like, in a similar way it did to the movie. Again, that might have been, like, too complicated to, like, design on a small figure like this, but I'm just saying, I think that would have been really cool. Again, I know that's a stretch, but that's the only, like, negative I can think of, because overall, the sculpting on this figure is, again, pretty much perfect. So, the sculpting here, I'd say, definitely gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure is amazing. So let's take a closer look. So right off the bat, we can see the detail on the head looks great. All of, like, the scales and everything here are detailed beautifully. Everything here is just very well defined, and everything just pops out, like, incredibly. You know, like the detailing on his face here and all that, it just looks very good. And we get that scaling all throughout the body, which just looks great. And just a bunch of really nice looking, like, creases and, like, folds to really give off that, like, guy in a suit feel. Like, honestly, having this figure here, it does feel like there's, like, a little man in a Godzilla suit just standing on my desk. I know I've made that analogy before, but it just looks really good. So, yeah, again, just a lot of really nice detailing like that in the arms here. Just a lot of great scaling, a lot of great, like, creases and folds and whatnot. It all just looks great. And even in the legs here, again, just a lot of really nice, like, scaling here. Like, all, like, the creases and everything. Just a lot of really nice detailing here. Everything just pops here, and it's just great looking. And again, the tail, just a lot of really, really nice scaling and just a lot of really nice, like, creases and folds and whatnot, especially on the underside of the tail here, which just looks very good. And I guess the last thing to point out here, the detailing on the dorsal plates, like specifically these ones, they look great. Again, just a lot of really nice detailing here. Everything just pops, and yeah, overall, the detailing on this figure is fantastic. So the detailing here, I'd say definitely gets a pass. Now, we'll do some size comparisons. To start, of course, you know I have to bring them in. Here we have the SH Monsterarts Gigan, 1972. And let me just say, these two look amazing together. I really like how these two look. But now I'm really kicking myself because X Plus did a really cool looking Godzilla tower that scales really well with these guys, but that makes me mad. That makes me really mad. I'm not going to lie, but I digress. Anyway, here we have the Bandai Creation, Godzilla 1968. Here we have the original Bandai Anguirus. Bandai Island Anguirus? Someone told me this was a movie Monster Series figure as well, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, all I know is that this is a Bandai vinyl of Anguirus that came out in 1998. And of course, here we have some hand sanitizer. And here we have Dr. Billy Grant. So at the end of the day, should you get this figure? Yes. I think the paint apps are great. I think the articulation's great. The sculpt, the detailing, everything about this figure I think is top notch, and I absolutely love it. Plus, this guy comes with an accessory. It's very minor, I know, but again, a lot of Monsterarts figures come with accessories. You know, they usually cost like a decent amount of money, and they don't even come with like one accessory, and it's frustrating. So the fact that this figure comes along and comes with like, you know, again, a swappable headpiece, I know it's such a minor thing, but the fact that there's something here is actually really cool, and I do like that a lot. Speaking of price tags, this guy, I got this guy from Awesome Collector for about like $85 to $90, which is not cheap at all, but again, for the kind of figure that he is, I'd say it's worth it. This is a phenomenal figure, and again, he comes with an accessory. The SH Monsterarts Godzilla 1989, no accessories. The SH Monsterarts Godzilla 2004, no accessories. The SH Monsterarts Godzilla 2002, no accessories. Even the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 1954, no accessories. But this guy, he comes with accessories, and it's great. Or, he comes with one. I wish he came with more, but I can settle for one, as small as it is. So, yeah. Please definitely get this figure if you can, because this thing is absolutely worth it. So, yeah. Anyway, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Zack out.